who has participated on a daily basis to support our Japa program. As we heard a wonderful song, the thought came to my mind to read the verse number 1 of Manahasiksha, and then we will continue. I think we are currently reading on verse number 6. Verse number 1. O dear brother, O mine, having given up all pride, please develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to Sri Guru, to Sri Vrindavan Dham, the abode of the cows, to the devotees, residents of Vrindavan, and to all the devotees on this planet, to the confidential mantra given by Sri Guru, to the holy name of Sri Radha and Krishna, and to the process of surrendering to the fresh youthful couple of Raj, holding your faith, I beseech you with sweet words. Same thing. So I think on verse number 4, there are 4 impediment obstacle has been described. I'm not going to put you on spot today, but we should always remember. Then verse number 5 has 6 enemies, obstacles. And in the 6th verse, there are 2 enemies. Deceitfulness and hypocrisy has been explained. So today we will be reading from Srimanaha Siksha, Splendid Instructions to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. Verse number 6, commentary by Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. Today the content, the title is Offenses and Cheating, the relationship. Hypocrisy generates offenses. In referring to a verse from the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, Srila Jiva Goswami also says that when a person doesn't stop themselves from committing offenses, then 100 offenses make a person hypocrite. Offenses and hypocrisy are thus each related as cause and effect of each other. Very wonderful. We have to remember so many nectar of devotion explain all different offenses. Therefore, lack of sincerity is the result of having already committed offenses against some Vaishnavas or against the spiritual master. Further on, he says that 1,000 offenses deprive a person of the opportunity to perform austerities in the name of bhakti. If we do not stop there, but go on committing further offenses, we lose our power and cannot follow even the basic principle of spiritual life. First, a person offends the Vaishnavas, and for a while, everything seems all right. They go on offending them and slandering them as much as possible behind their backs. Sooner or later, after a certain point, they will have no power to follow the basic principles. Further, it is said that 10,000 offenses deprive a person of the opportunity to practice bhakti. Of course, all these numerical values should not be taken literally, but the point is that if people do not stop committing offenses, then in the end, they will lose the opportunity to even pronounce the holy name of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said of the Mayavadi sannyasis in Banaras that he came to these great Pandits, but despite all of their knowledge, their tongue cannot turn to pronounce Krishna. They say Brahman, Brahman, but their tongue cannot say Krishna. Haribol. Here, Raghunath Das Goswami warns us against this cycle of offenses and deceit. He said that everything starts very innocently, with just a slight tendency to small deceptions. Therefore, the two topmost qualities of the devotees are determination and simplicity. In order to realize the supreme ideal of devotional service. And we see so many devotees lacking the determination. Haribol. Simplicity will protect us against offenses and will help us preserve pure, simple faith without obscuring it. Determination will help us overcome all the obstacles that will inevitably arise on our way. If we have these two qualities, we will attain Krishna. And if we don't have these two simple qualities, we will not be able to understand anything. Bhakti is our attempt to enter into a relationship with God Himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I have already mentioned that in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva calls Krishna Param Satya, the absolute truth. This means that to enter into a relationship with Krishna, we must acquire the same nature of truth. We cannot have a different nature because then a relationship with Krishna would be impossible. Even in the material world, if we consider the science of relation between human beings, astrology recommends selecting those whose nature is as close as possible to our own. You know, they call the Janmakstra, that horoscope before, that was the tradition on the old days, that first they will ask for this date of birth, time and place of birth. And from there they will find out the nature of that person. And if it doesn't match, then they will not go forward. But nowadays, we have lost all our culture. Even in the material world, if we consider the science of relation between human beings, astrology recommends selecting those whose nature is as close as possible to our own. Any difference in nature will eventually bring about a conflict, and we see the rate of divorce, even within ISKCON, is very high because we are not following. To a much greater degree, this is true in terms of our relations with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must acquire 100% the same nature. That is, we must become absolutely pure, just as we cannot approach the sun unless we have a body of fire like the sun. Wonderful analogy has been presented by Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. Wonderful instructions. So we will now continue reading. What happened to my bookmark? All right, here. We will continue reading the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. And I thank Manoj Kapoor Prabhu and Nadia Kumar Prabhu to continue reading. And I got the message from Nadia Kumar yesterday that we will be beginning from chapter 4, India, Dancing White Elephants. Calcutta, August 29, 1970. For the first time in almost 3 years, Prabhupada returned to India, to Calcutta, his hometown. Although it was late and the journey from Tokyo had been 12 hours, Prabhupada felt happy as he descended the stairway from the airplane. During those old days, and also nowadays in a small country, they use the same thing. Achyutanand and Jayapataka, his only American disciples in India, were standing on the airfield, and as they saw him approaching in his saffron silk robes, they bowed down. Prabhupada smiled and embraced them. They ushered him to a flower-bedecked car and accompanied him to the terminal building where he entered the VIP lounge. Some of the Prabhupada's godbrothers and old Calcutta friends were present to receive him, and a kirtan party from the Chaitanya Math was chanting. The reception was large and festive, as the room resounded with Hare Krishna. Prabhupada took his seat. The sound of the kartals, the many pictures of Krishna, and the smell of incense and jasmine flowers, combined with Prabhupada's transcendental presence to transform the drab airport into a heavenly scene. Like my journey also in Norway, when we fly, you have to climb on a stairwell to enter into the plane, so that still some places are like that. Indian crowded forward to place flower garland around Prabhupada's neck. And as the garlands piled higher, Prabhupada removed them. But the garlands keep coming. And again they piled up, almost covering Prabhupada's face. When I read this, I remember when we visited the Fiji with my spiritual master. They didn't just garlanded Guru Maharaj, but they garlanded all of us. About 16, 18 devotees we were with him from US. Very nice reception. The American devotees watched in fascination as the Bengali brahmacharis played their mudangas with exotic rhythms. The people in the crowd pressed in closer to touch Prabhupada's feet and asked his blessings. And Prabhupada smiled, seeming quite at home. When the kirtan ended, he began to speak. Quote, I'm coming back to the city after 3 years, Hare Krishna. I have been around the world and have found that happiness and peace cannot be established in this world by materialistic advancement. I have seen Japan, which is highly advanced in machines and technology. Yet, there is no real happiness there. But the people of India, even if they do not understand the significance of Sankirtan, they enjoy listening to it. My advice to the Indian is that if you advance only in science and technology without paying attention to Harinam, then you will remain forever backward. There is tremendous strength in Harinam. What a wonderful sentence. A reporter, you have said, and I quote, even communism, if it is without Krishna Nam, is void. Why do you say that? Prabhupada responded as follows. Why do you refer to communism in particular? Without Krishna consciousness, everything is void. Whatever you do, Krishna must remain in the center. Whether you are communist or capitalist or anything else, it doesn't matter. We want to see whether your activities are centered around Krishna. Reporter, right now there is too much turmoil in Bengal. What is your advice to us at this time? Prabhupada responded, my advice is to chant Hare Krishna. This is the piece of advice to both the capitalist and the communist. All animosity between them will cease completely, and all their problems will be solved if they take this one simple advice. Chant Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. The crowd, affirming Prabhupada's words, began to shout, Sadhu, Sadhu. Prabhupada sat in the back seat on his way from the airport to the home of Mr. Das Gupta on Hindustan Road. Outside the car window, the familiar scenes of Calcutta passed by. For the newcomers riding with him, however, Kolkata was foreign and unfamiliar. Gaunt, loitering cows and street dogs, small horses pulling huge loads, barefoot rickshaw walls, open shops with exotic foods, dense crowd of pedestrians, and sultry heat, and the incredible traffic, these, although familiar to Prabhupada, plunged the disciple who had flown with him into culture shock. Tamal Krishna looked nervously at the driver, who strode in and out of traffic. Honking his horn, Prabhupada laughed softly. Good, Tamal Krishna, how do you like this driving? Achyutanand and Jayapataka, however, were acclimatized to Calcutta and had learned to appreciate its culture. They had made high-class culture Bengalis who accepted them as sadhus despite their American birth. They had preached in many homes and had attracted curious crowds by chanting in public. They had not, however, achieved a solid foothold for ISKCON. But now Prabhupada had come to change that. He would preach wonderfully, just as he had done in America. And his disciples were eager to show his instruments. He would be their vital force, their inspiration, for he was empowered by Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada reached the home of Mr. Dasgupta at almost midnight. Many people wanted to see him, and when Devanand Maharaj tried to turn them away, Prabhupada said, quote, "No, no, let them come in," unquote. Prabhupada's sister, Bhautarini, arrived with an array of special dishes she had cooked for Srila Prabhupada. Quote, "We can't eat now," one of the sannyasis protested. "It's late at night," unquote. "No," Prabhupada said, "we must eat everything. Whatever my sister cooks, we have to eat." I remember one of the good pastimes of Prabhupada in Hyderabad. There was a home program, and I think the host was not informed that ISKCON devotee doesn't consume onion and garlic. So they cook the food with onion and garlic. And as we don't eat for long, even the small change we can smell from far. So everybody was uptight. Prabhupada understood. So Prabhupada called out the server and said, "Please bring me those sabji." And Prabhupada started eating. Then everybody. These great souls teach us some principles, not to show off. How lenient Prabhupada in the terms that he did protested, neither neglected, he accepted. If Prabhupada is not there, you can imagine the scene, what they may have created, the scene for the host. Unbearable. And do you think that that host will invite his devotee anytime in the future? Haribol. Whatever my sister cooks, we have to eat. This is her favorite activity. She likes to cook for me and feed me. Everyone must take prasadam. Haribol. The devotees at the Chaitanya Math had also cooked a feast. And as Prabhupada was honoring the prasadam prepared by his sister, the prasadam from the Chaitanya Math arrived. He took a little and induced his followers to eat simplicity. It was 1 a.m. in the morning. Prabhupada sat in his room with Achyutanand, Japa, and Devanand Maharaj. He explained how irresponsible letters from his disciple in India had perpetrated with ISKCON a deep misunderstanding of the spiritual master's position. He quoted the verse Saksat Daritvena Samasta Sastrai and explained it. Quote, The Guru is on the equal level with Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not God, but he is the dearmost servant of God. Unquote. I don't know where I read something, I don't know where, someplace where we were traveling, that we may be not able to do, but God will help us to do what we cannot do. What a nice thing, yeah? The people, one thing I learned from we used to have the local guide with us, and mostly they were teachers in the schools. And, they speak very slowly, and we can see that how much patience they have in their life, because the last part of the Norway up where we visited the Lofoten Island, which is maybe 150 miles from the North Pole. And we were so lucky that we visited the place on June 21st, which is the longest day. And it says that there is no sunset on that day on the horizon. So our tour arranged that. So we were living in the place, and we left in the bus at 10:30 p.m. to witness sunrise at midnight. So when we went there, by 11:30 still we were able to see the sun was setting, and we were thinking that sun will set, and it was like in a top hill there was a viewpoint to watch that sunrise, midnight sunrise. And we keep on watching. It happened like 10 minutes before the midnight, and still you can see the sun. And really, we were hoping that it will set and then sun will come up, but no, it didn't have a sunset. It just goes very close to the water, and then it's again start going up. Most of the time, I think that like at 6:30, 7 o'clock, what the light we see in nature, that's remained constantly in Norway, north part, and it's beautiful. So the lady was saying that in the Lofoten Island, weather is totally unpredictable. And we witness it early in the morning. It's a beautiful sunshine. So we thought, oh, today we will enjoy. But noontime is a sour. And in the afternoon, windy, cold. Winds come. You need the heavy jackets and everything kept. So season get changed quite often. And the lady was saying that in the weekend, people go for the hiking on the mountain. All the students in the school, they have to learn how to climb the mountain. That's pre-requirement in the school. So nice. So she was saying, I was really shocked when she said that when we go for that hiking, even on the weekend time, we carry with us a couple of days of clothes. Because if some storm comes, you cannot drive there. You have to stay there wherever you are. For a couple of days you are stuck. So and she was saying that we are now so used to unpredictability. That anything unpredictable happen, we are there to face it. And I was thinking how nice it is. If in our life little something happens, we become so angry and upset. But these people were so nice. It's, I think, God's blessings. But they were very, very, very cultured and very soothing people, actually. Haribo. Prabhupada continued preaching to his disciple, clearing away any misconception about the spiritual master position, all the past unpleasant events, he said. were now being rectified. The devotees should continue working together with new life and vigor. This is also we read in Manahasiksha today. Simplicity and determination. If we have not created the steadfastness in our practices, there is no hope to attain the love of God. We should remember. Achyutanand asked Prabhupada if he could take sannyas. The Indians, he said, would respect a sannyasi more. Prabhupada agreed that sannyas would help Achyutanand's preaching. And he said the Jai Pataka should also take sannyas. This ceremony would be in a week on Radhastami. Prabhupada fulfilling the desire very quickly. The Amrit Bazaar Patrika carried a front page news story of Prabhupada's arrival. A photo showed Prabhupada walking with his hand in his bib bag, surrounded by young sannyasis carrying dandas. Many VIPs have come to Dum Dum Airport in Calcutta before, but never have we seen gaiety and celebration of this magnitude. It was difficult to imagine that he was 75 years old because he was completely fresh after this long journey. With a little smile on his face, he blessed one and all with the word Haribol. I think that's a nice point to stop. My garden is doing really nice. I saw that keeping in touch with my son, that if enough rain is there, if not, then you have to turn on the sprinkler. While I was gone, the good rain, and it's blooming so nicely, so many flowers. But I see some weed also. So I'm gonna stop now and I'm gonna do little gardening. Yesterday, the first thing I did, I took shower